Hello and welcome to this screencast where I'm going to demonstrate how to add a deadline to the Then site, and that would be something that shows up in this table here. Okay, so first thing we want to make sure is that we're logged in with administration privileges, site administration privileges, and then we would navigate to the contribute section here, and we would create content. And if you're a site administrator, you should have additional options here, one of which will be this deadline content type. Okay, and here we are. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to say we're going to announce place and placelessness here. So I'm just going to highlight the name here of this workshop, and I'm going to Command C on the Mac, Control C on a PC to copy that. Command V, Control V on PC to paste. So there's place and placelessness, or you could just type it in. Okay, and the link. Okay, let's say we want to link to the external site. Okay, so now I'm going up into the location bar, and that's going to be how you would navigate to this site. So that's the link for the announcement, and I'm going to Command C or Control C on a PC, highlight the link box here, and I'm going to Command V or Control V on the Mac to paste that. Okay, so now we've got our deadline title and the link that it will link to. So the site visitor will click on this and it will take them here. Now the dates, I believe, for place and placelessness were October 7th through 8th, 2011. Okay, so let's go back. The from date now, get this nice little pop-up calendar, will be October 7th, 2011 to October 8th, 2011. Okay. And if you need to change the year on this, this drop-down dialog or drop-down box there allows you to select a year. Okay. So we've got our title, what it links to, and the date range. You need at least a from date for a deadline, and then to date, I guess is optional if you don't need to date, but I guess this particular workshop has a range of dates, so we've entered a from and a to date. Now here you would just ensure that the language is appropriate. So for the English site, if you want this deadline announcement to show up on the English site, you would pick English. If you want it to show up on the French, you'd pick French. Okay, if it's authored in French, obviously this will be French. Now you can choose to publish it here or not. I'm going to not to show you, and if you select publish here, it would show up immediately on the home page. But let's just say that, say we're more tentative than that. Okay, so there it is. It's not really that anybody's ever going to see it in this format on the site, because when you click through that link on the home page, you'll note that it doesn't, if you click through, in this case it's just going to try and download the associated PDF, or if you click through to a website it would navigate you to the website for the deadline announcement. So nobody's ever really going to see that, it's just kind of on the background of the site in that format. So where is our deadline now? How do we publish it if we want it actually to now show up here, seeing as we've bothered to enter all that information? Well, in the administration menu, if you navigate to Content Management, Content, List, you get our nice list of content, all the content that's really been published for the site. Now, it looks like a filter has already been set here for deadline, but I'm going to just now reset. If you come here and not everything is listed, you may need to just reset the filter. Okay, and that's all I've done just then, just there. Now, always the first thing that or the most recent thing that you've authored will show up here at the top of this list, but if you have authored other content in the meantime and it's gotten buried in here and you're having trouble finding it, you'll notice that the type here is listed and the status. Okay, so we're going to kind of try and restrict our search here to type deadline, and we'll filter all, so now we'll just get all the deadlines that we've ever authored. Now, if you wanted to further restrict it to those that haven't been published, we can select status is not published, and we will now refine. So now we've got type is deadline and status is not published. And there we go, place and placelessness. It's showing up. And to publish that, all we need to do is tick the box there and select from our update options, publish, and then hit update. And now it's going to disappear from our filter there because we're only viewing deadlines where the status is not published. So if we want to remove this most recent restriction on the search filter, we can undo, and now we're just showing content where the type is deadline, and sure enough, there are all our deadlines, and place and placelessness is at the head of the list, and we can see that its status is now published. So fantastic. If we go to our home page now, we should be able to see, and we can, that place and placelessness is there. And if we click through, it'll take us to the place and placelessness website. And I'm just going to hit the back button to go back to our site. Now what if you wanted to change the order here, you know, of these deadline announcements? Say you want to put place and placelessness at the bottom of this list now. And to do that, you would actually have to manage the node queue for deadlines. How do you do that? So you go into content management here, and you go down to node queue and select list. Okay, perfect. There are all our node queues. And I'm going to pick the deadlines one, and we're going to view. Okay, there it is. There's all of our deadlines. Now, something to notice here is that the French and the English are listed here together. And what you might want to do, just for your own sanity and peace of mind in organizing this, is just you can organize these items by just picking this little crosshairs icon and just dragging them up and down. Okay, and you can order it so that all the English are kind of stacked up one above the other, and then all the French maybe below, or the French above and the English below. But it's kind of like you're managing two separate queues here, but unfortunately, you know, separating them into two separate queues linguistically would have been complicated. So anyway, we've just got to manage both the French and English queue here, kind of stacked one on top of the other, if you like. So here, place and placelessness, Canadian History of Education Association call for papers, then ER Imagining Gateways, and then Canadians and Their Pasts Conference. That is the order that deadlines will show up on the English site. Colloque de les Canadiens and Association Canadienne. Okay, my French is obviously poor. Anyway, so these two in this order would then be the order that they would appear on the French site. But we're going to take place and placelessness now, and we're going to drag it below Canadians and Their Past. So now this should show up on the bottom of the listing on the home page for the English. And you'll see that when you move things around, they highlight and they get these little asterisks associated with them. And this footnote here tells us, highlighted footnote tells us that changes made in this table will not be saved until the form is submitted. So that's your cue to the fact that, you know, you move them around here. It's not, that change is not committed until you save. Okay, and so then we save. Now if we go to the home page, which I'm just doing by navigating to the, just clicking on the Denier logo there, we notice that place and placelessness is now beneath Canadians and Their Pasts and at the bottom of the list as it should be. And if we were to go to the French version of the site, Colloque de les Canadiens is above Association Canadienne d'Histoire, etc. So that is how management of that node queue works and how you would submit a deadline content type. I think in a separate screencast I'll walk through just how you would attach a PDF, but that's all I'm going to fit in this screencast. Thanks for listening.